I'm really excited about this last little feature of our database app, the ability to like our foods. But I click on this like icon and nothing's happening. We have to wire that up. So in this video, we are going to add this like feature, which will give a little interactivity to our app, and it's going to lead to all kinds of complexity. Looks very simple, easier said than done. So the first thing, we know how to start. This image on the display screen, this screen element is the like underscore icon. So if we want to make that clickable, we know how to do that. We just add an on event and we'll put the ID of like underscore icon. And what do we want to happen when we click that on event? Well, we want to increase the likes. We need a variable to hold that. Actually, we already have one at the top. We have a var likes count equals 0. So, and are we setting that variable? When we read the records, we have a likes count in our database. And yes, we are, I think I've just added this since the last video. The likes count equals record 0.likes count. And we'll also have to set the likes count when we scroll through by clicking the light arrow. And yeah, we're doing that here too. The likes count equals records index.likes count. So we know what the likes count is. And if we want to increase it, how do we do that? Simplest way is likes count plus plus. Of course, that just changes the variable in the computer's memory, but it doesn't show anything on the screen. So what do we do to show it on the screen? We set text. Set text. And what we want to set the text of is this little number right next to the like icon. That little 8 is the default. And that is called, well, we had the code completion here, so let's use it. And that is the likes count label. And we will set that to the likes count. Here we go. That should work. So we run it and we display and we can like that chocolate pie. Well, it's kind of a problem because we can really like that chocolate pie. I don't think we want our users to be cranking up the likes that much. So let's just say that you can only like it once. So we'll create a flag variable. And that flag variable can be already liked. And let's just call it up here. We'll say var already liked equals false. As in, have they already liked this particular food? No, they haven't. So it doesn't like it because I put a colon instead of a semicolon. There we go, a semicolon. So now, down in our on event, let's check before we increase the likes count. Let's say, have they already liked this? So we need an if statement. If, and our condition between parentheses is already liked equals false. If they haven't already liked it, then between these code blocks, then do these 2 lines of code. So we'll put those between those 2 code blocks and we'll indent them to indicate that they're inside that if statement. So if already liked is false, then increase the liked count. And also shut it down. Say that already liked equals true. Assign that variable to true, so that's a single equal. Then this if statement will no longer execute and the click won't work anymore. So let's run it. We reset, we run, display, and we can like our chocolate pie, but we can't like it too much. We just like it once and we're good. Now the guacamole. Oh, but we can't like the guacamole. Well, that's because our already liked has been set. And this is interesting now because all this liking we're doing is on the display screen. And the only way we get into the display screen is through this display button. So we might as well put our on event inside that display screen block, the on event that puts us in the display screen. So if we put this as another on event at the top level of this display screen, let's just make sure we're in the right indentation. So this closes the read records. So we want it inside there. And we should be very careful with indentation because things are getting super hectic. So we want to tab this if to make it clearly inside the on event. And we want to end this on event at the same level where it begins. And then we'll clean up this space. And reset, run, display. And we can like the chocolate pie, but only once. And we can like the guacamole. No, we can't like the guacamole because we have not. When we scroll, we need to set already liked to false. So when we hit the right scroll arrow, we're on a new food. And have we liked this food? No, we haven't liked it yet. So we have to set that back to false. And then that will allow us to do a like when we're scrolling. So yes, we can like the guacamole, but only once. We can add a like to the shawarma. No, we can't add a like to the shawarma. Why is that? Because who knows? So already liked would have been set to false when we scrolled to the beef shawarma. And we should have been able to get here and like it. But obviously we can't, so we're missing something. Already liked hasn't been declared yet. We misspelled it. Capital I. Okay, let's run it. Display, like the pie. Like the guacamole, but only once. And like the shawarma. We love it. So this like feature is up and running. Now, I told you it was going to get complicated. Now, if we want to add that to the database, we can update the database record with the likes count. And we can do that if they hit the like icon and we get into the if, then we want to update the database. And this is going to get a little bit gnarly because we can use the update record. And the key to the update record is you have to tell the database the ID of the record you're updating. So all of these rows in the database have a unique ID. And that's how, if we're trying to update a record, that's how AppLab will know which record we're updating. We'll give it the ID and then it'll know, okay, we're updating the record with that unique ID. But of course, that means that when we read the records, we're going to have to set that ID variable. So we have, I believe we have not yet declared var ID. So let's do that here. So we're declaring the variable ID. We can just add it to our list. We're not really giving it an initial value. And then when we read records from the database, we are going to have to set ID equal to record0.id. And we'll just copy this to make sure it's the same. Copy C, Command V, .id. So we're setting the ID there. And then, of course, when we hit the right scroll arrow, we're also going to have to set the ID there. So we can say ID equals Command V. It's still on our clipboard, record0.id. But it's not record 0, it's records index. Okay, now we have this ID property. And we can update the records. And let's close our toolbox so we get a little better look at this function call. Update records needs a table name like all the other function calls. So we'll put in our table foods. And it needs an ID. And then we want to update the likes count column. And we want to put the value of the variable likes count in that column. So this is what we want to do. We want to just update this one little column in the database. Sadly, for the length of this video, when we update this record, we have to put in a value for every single database column. Even though they're not changing, we still have to put all those columns in our update record. And that's easy enough. We can just, we could just copy this. But as you can see, this gives the column names, but it also uses variables as the value, and we have not set the value of all those variables. So let's just Command C, and we'll update the database. We'll just paste that whole thing in and then fix it a little bit. So this is the entire record to update the database, but of course we don't need this because we already did it. But we do want to put this in the right order. So Command X, and we'll put it right here with a comma after it. So now everything's good. So we just hit Command and left arrow. That takes us back to the front of the line. And then we'll arrow over to the left. Okay, so the call looks great. We have everything we need, but we don't have the value of food name set. So when we read the records, we're not setting any variables. We're just setting the text straight to the screen. So what we should do is we'll say food name equals record 0.foodname, and we'll set the value of the variable, and then we'll have it later when we do the update. So then we've got to do this for everything. So we got to set the value of the category, and that's going to be record 0.category. So one thing we can do, Command V. One thing we can do is we can try to Command C, Command V. We can try to use our keyboard shortcuts to try to make this faster. So let's say we're going to do description here, and we're going to set the value of description equals, and I'm going to go down here, and I want to copy this record 0 description. So I'm going to do Shift right arrow. Shift Command right arrow takes me to the end of the line, and I hold Shift down and I back up a little bit to get just what I want, and then I do Command C, Command V, and we're getting there. So let's do submitted by equals, and we can just go to the beginning of what we want to copy, Shift Command right arrow, and then let up on Command and back up a couple spaces, Command C, Command V. And so we're already setting likes count, food image property. We need to store this image URL. So we'll say image URL equals, and we'll come down here and we can go Shift Command right arrow, let go of Command, back up a little bit, Command C, Command V, and paste this guy in. And what are we complaining about here? Missing a semicolon. That is the least of our worries. Missing another semicolon, we can do that. Easy enough. And let's see what happens. So reset, run, display. Right now there's 0 likes on the chocolate pie. We like it, and we're hoping that that updated the database. Let's take a look. Well, let's reset, run, display. No, chocolate pie is still 0. And it does not look like our likes count was updated in the database. We did something wrong. Update record foods, ID 1. That's it, because we're trying to update a record of ID 1. There is no record of ID 1. We need to use that ID variable that we took such pains to create. So now we reset and we run and we display. We like the chocolate pie, and let's see if it changed it in the database. And yes, it did change it in the database. So next time we come in here and we run it and display it, we can tell that people liked our chocolate pie. That's way more than enough for this video. Thanks for sticking with it. That's updating records. So there's a complete CRUD app. Create, record, create, read, update, and we didn't delete, but that's pretty straightforward. You can figure that out by using the tools in the toolbox, the delete record command. We'll leave that to you, and we'll call this a complete CRUD app. And in the comments, let us know what videos you want us to create. Thanks for watching.